So the whole $100 gig industry thing is keeping so many musicians stuck and holding them back from success. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the 5 critical things that helped me escape the whole $100 gig industry so that you can break free from it yourself and gain success. So let's get to it. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Now, right before we get into this video, if you're a band, artist, or musician looking to make some serious passive income and grow a huge fan base, I'm advising all bands and artists and musicians like this to start a YouTube channel today. And that's because right now, YouTube continues to be the biggest growth opportunity for bands, artists, and musicians to gain a huge following and make lots of money. And because of this, I've created the YouTube QuickStart course. This course is specifically designed to get you up and running and making money and growing a huge fan base on YouTube really quickly and easily. And the best part is it's completely free and you can get instant access to it at the link in the description of this video. Okay, so let me establish something off top. What I mean by the whole $100 gig industry thing is going to be quite subjective. It's going to mean different things to different people. What I really mean are these types of gigs that don't pay you what you believe you're worth and that are just really not worth your time. And the $100 gig thing is just kind of a symbol of that. So the first thing that helped me escape that whole industry was understanding that the numbers just didn't add up. And this is something that I've talked quite a bit about before. But if you do the math, like let's just say you have 2 gigs every weekend for an entire year and all of those gigs pay $100. Well, at the end of the year, you've only made about $10,400. And even that amount in and of itself is not a lot in today's economy. But subtract from that the gas that you spent going to and from gigs and to and from rehearsals. Subtract the amount of money that you've had to put into your equipment to maintain your equipment. Subtract the meals and food that you had to get and eat going and coming from rehearsals and gigs. And just with those things alone, you're only left with like a fraction of that $10,400. So you probably don't have enough money left to buy any of the equipment or anything like that you even wanted. So it's just kind of not worth your time. Now, another thing that helped me escape this whole $100 gig thing is simply knowing my worth and my value and knowing the value that I offer. So here I am, I put considerable time into, honing my skills and my craft. I have gone to school, I have a degree in music, I continue to study, I have experience and years and years of experience of doing this stuff and, teaching people and just being in the game, period. And I continually and consistently try to get better and better over time. So in other words, I'm consistently increasing my value and increasing what it is that I offer. And there comes a time when all of those increases add up to something that just simply does not match the value that you're getting from like these $100 type gigs. And not only that, I have some of the best and most expensive equipment out there to help me do my job better. So like here you are thoroughly trained with some of the best tools to do your job with, and you're going out there and playing these sort of gigs that's only paying you pennies. And what I wanted to do is be able to have situations where I can offer my best and, not have to be upset that I'm doing all of this stuff on my end and I have my stuff taken care of and, the club and venue owners and stuff like that only want to pay pennies. And that brings me to another thing that helped me escape sort of this whole thing we're talking about. And that is really just adopting what I call the chicken eagle mindset. So if you've been following me for a while, this is probably something you heard me state in one form or another before. But it's really sort of a philosophy that kind of guides my actions in my life when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's a simple saying that just says, if you want to be able to fly with the eagles, you got to stop mingling with the chickens. And I know it kind of sounds a little silly on the surface or whatever, but it really is profound because there's this mindset that you have to adopt. When you're trying to be successful, you have to start thinking like successful people and think about yourself in ways that they think about themselves. Because what happens is most times we are sort of products of our environment, and that's what this speaks to. So if you're used to the whole $100 gig thing, or, conversely, like if someone else is used to like things of poverty and of lesser means, this is kind of where their mind thinks, for good or bad, for whatever reasons. But part of what you have to do to get out of those situations is start thinking differently. So for me, it was really simple. I just wanted to fly with the Eagles. Now, another thing that got me out of this whole $100 thing we're talking about is just learning how the business works. And I mean, learning how the business really works. There are a lot of us musicians and artists out there that still think that, making certain amounts of money and stuff like that just isn't possible for musicians. And I know this because I talk to musicians and teach musicians about this stuff all of the time. And whenever I bring it up, especially if they're first hearing it, it's like I say, man, a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 gig is definitely possible. You can definitely get it. It's not that hard. They're looking at me like, man, what? But I was lucky enough to kind of get exposed to a lot of musicians and stuff who were making that type of money. And I'm not talking about people who were like signed to labels. I'm talking about people who were just like me, the average drummer, keyboard player, bass player, guitar player, average band, going out there and making that type of money, doing tours, having people fly them over the country and over the world and all of that kind of stuff. And what it really all came down to was just learning how to conduct business properly. And again, this speaks to the whole chicken eagle situation. Like, when you're in this situation, your mind, you don't think like business people. It's just because you don't have to. And I'm saying that from experience. When I was in it, at first I didn't do those things. Again, I'm just talking about, I was lucky enough to get out of that and get exposed to something else. But when you're in that, you don't think about that. But when you're in this side, you think like these people too, and you start to make the type of money that they get and gain the success that they get as well. And that brings me to something else that sort of helped me get out of this whole $100 gig thing. And that was just dropping this ego of being busy all of the time and learning to say no. Oh my God, I come across so many musicians who brag about being busy and being able to work and have gigs all of the time. But like these gigs don't amount to nothing financially, career-wise, success-wise, or anything, but they're bragging about it, right? Oh man, I got a gig Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And each night they're only making $50 per night. And I'm not at all suggesting that there's anything wrong with that necessarily. That's someone's prerogative. If they want to do that, that's their thing, more power to them. But what I'm saying about that is that if you're in that situation and you have higher aspirations, what that thing becomes for you is just like this hamster wheel of running and running and running and being busy and not really getting anywhere. And as I mentioned, it has a lot to do with the ego, right? Because what happens is that feeds our ego. That makes us feel important. Oh, people are calling us for the gigs. I'm working, I'm busy, I have all of these gigs and all of that kind of stuff. And that's that ego boost for us, right? But again, that's one of the most important things to know that we have to get rid of and let go of, and just learn to say no and stop accepting a lot of this stuff that doesn't meet our sort of requirements, not only financially, but we don't accept stuff that doesn't speak to us, that doesn't speak to our soul, or that we just simply don't agree with. Again, I've kind of considered myself lucky because over time, I've kind of created a situation with all of my musician friends who call me about gigs and stuff. They kind of know how I operate and know what to call me for. Although sometimes I do favors for them and all of that. For the most part, they know what not to call me for because they know what I'm going to say no to. It's just something that goes with the old adage. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And speaking of learning the business and the music business and things like that, I've done a lot of videos about that. So you definitely want to go here and check those out right now.